down. Now, let's move it along. And listen, I'm going to briefly mention this because we're going to come back to Omar Brown at the end of the show. I'm really excited about diving into that. But the player of the day was Omar Brown. Full breakdown on him coming up. We'll do a separate segment there. Just wanted to mention it really quick. Now, injury updates. Let's get to the injury updates. And the reason I picked this picture, you see Tucker right here. He's in street clothes. And that's what I was talking about. He and his wife, I believe they're married, and their little one, their newborn. And this was really cool to see the family, the players bring their families out, right? I love watching these type of videos for family night. I know Jacob was big tough guy, right? I could tell he gets a little bit emotional with stuff like this, man. It matters. Again, this is about building that team camaraderie. And you see all the names that when I see those jersey numbers, I see those names, I see, all the different players. I don't just see different people. I see different backgrounds. I see different, some people were raised dirt poor. Others might have had, had it a little bit easier. And you got this just melting pot of players, of people coming together and trying to accomplish, one common goal. It's just huge. So with the injury report, new injuries, it says Savion Williams was unknown. I want to say he was out there for a bit. You guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I've read multiple reports, and they seemed a little bit conflicting, but I could have just been a little blurry from last night. But Savion Williams, I thought he practiced to a certain extent. And then, of course, it says it was a new injury listed, so maybe he did get a little banged up or tweaked something out there. Now, tight end Tucker Kraft, that was a new injury going in. He has tweaked his groin, so I don't think there's anything to worry about there. Thank you so much. Coach Lynn says Savion was out there, so appreciate that, Coach. So there must have been something. Yeah, had practice catches, says Greg Rice. I think he had some catches, and I want to say in the report, it might have been Bill Huber that reported it, that he might have left a little later. Or maybe that's part of the whole concussion thing too. Hey, let's keep him out of certain things. Who knows? But nonetheless, those are the two mentioned. I think Tucker's going to be fine. We are noticing, though, am I the only one that's noticing that groins are starting to pop up a little bit this year? Like that injury just seems like it's a little heavy this year. So I guarantee you, if a dumb redneck like me is noticing, wow, we got like 4 or 5 different people with groin injuries so far in camp, the coaching staff is relaying to the medical staff, like, hey, let's try to get to the bottom of this. Let's try to get this fixed, right? It reminds you of the hammies for so many years. And then for whatever reason last year, everybody tore their pec, right? There's like 3 different, the head coach, Tucker Kraft, Zach Tom, everybody tore their pec bench pressing, right? So, yeah, there you go, Chris. I completely agree. It says 2025 groins or the 2024 hamstrings. So true, man. So true. So there you go. Coach Lynn confirms Savion Williams is on a pitch count. That makes a lot of sense. Greg Rice says, no, Savion did scrimmage. He had one where Love threw to him for like 20 yards. So he was out there. That's the whole point there, right? So I don't think there's a whole lot to worry about. Now, the old injuries, Christian Watson with the knee, Dontavion Wicks with the calf, so he wasn't out there. Wide receiver Sam Brown with an ankle, cornerback Nate Hobbs with the knee, running back Emmanuel Wilson with the knee injury, running back Marshawn Lloyd with the groin. There's a groin. Cornerback Kamal Haddon with the hip, linebacker Colin Oliver with a hamstring, defensive end Aaron Mosby with the groin, left tackle Rasheed Walker with the groin, offensive lineman John Williams with the back, and then guard/tackle Mr. Emilio Travis Glover with the shoulder. So returning from injuries, we didn't get anybody back that we did not see practice earlier in the week. So nothing changed there on that front, but I think that's by design. Hey, let's try to get everybody healthy and get geared up for this next week of work in training camp. I think it's going to be huge. Now, details. Kraft missed all the practice, dealing with the groin for a few days, rested to calm it down. So nothing, I think we're good there. Williams missed the final periods, missed earlier camp with concussion, no further info. So there you go. That sounds like, I think that was Bill Huber, I believe, his portion of an article that it grabbed here and mentioned that. So there you go. There's just a quick little injury update on, it seems like they're playing it a little bit safe. And again, it was a glorified practice is what it was last night. Nonetheless, it's just fun to see the guys get out there in the green and gold and out there on Lambeau Field for sure. King Tron with the super chat. Thank you so much, Tron. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, delayed $5 for 5K. Can't express how much I appreciate y'all and the amazing Packers environment you foster. I truly wish y'all the moon and appreciate you. Hey, Tron, thank you so much, buddy. Listen, and it's not just because you sent a super chat. Thank you for the kind words, although we appreciate that support as well. It's been fun, man. I wasn't even going to bring this up, but had a little bit of an interaction on X yesterday with Jen Latta of ESPN Milwaukee. Now, listen, I want to be 100% transparent. If you guys see my tweet, and I told her this we exchanged some messages back and forth. That wasn't a shot at her. She's doing her job, right? And if you guys don't even know what I'm talking about, I won't go too in depth, but it's just I pointed out how ESPN Wisconsin, really in general, not just ESPN Milwaukee, is just so negative. It just seems like everything's negative, 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 negative. And I just listed it out. And, I will tell you this. Jen Latta is an absolute professional. Notice I didn't mention anything she did in those tweets, right? And now she's covering the Brett Favre fallout with the Packers right before training camp. Well, I'm sure that wasn't something that she said, I want to cover this. It's probably a project put together for her. But nonetheless, I'll just say this about Jen. She stand up and she appreciates the feedback. I'll leave it at that. And I love that when someone's willing to go, all right, man, we'll look into this. No problem. I'll do my best to look into it. So I probably got a little hot-headed, but, man, when I seen that come across, I'm like, what bothered me, and again, this isn't a shot at her. It's training camp. It's literally on the eve of family night. Optimism is at an all-time high for us Packer fans. We're so fired up for the season. And then when you tune in to a specific station, and listen, it's actually multiple channels, both Milwaukee and Madison, and predominantly you just hear negative, 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 negative. It's like, and then it's, hey, look, here is the most divisive, how do I say it? The most divisive event, I believe, in Packers history, to be honest with you. Like the Brett Favre fallout and how it embarrassed me as a Packer fan to see how some Packer fans turned on the organization over one player. Whether you think Brett was wrong or not, you're right to that opinion. But it's just, you know what it reminds me of? I'll be honest with you. It reminds me of the Civil War, right? I'm a big history nerd, but I don't like to dive into the Civil War because it's just like it was family harming family. It was a nation divided. Like, why don't we focus on what we've got in common and let's work through our differences and come out the other side, making things better, right? That's a very, very extreme comparison. Don't get me wrong, but that whole Brett Favre thing, it just split the fan base, right? Or at least took a third of the fan base away. And when you hear people bragging on the radio about, well, they supported Brett Favre and the Jets when that happened, and then you got another guy who's a host of a show on Milwaukee, ESPN Milwaukee, showing up the Packers training camp and putting Matt LaFleur in an awkward place and trying to get him to sign an Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey and walking through the stands of the practice field and just to try to get a ruse out of the fans wearing an Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey. And we got to listen to you on the radio every damn day. Like, at some point, we as fans need to step up and go, look, dude, we're not doing this. Like, it's obvious what you guys are doing. On another show earlier, they said Brian Gutekunst is not serious about winning a Super Bowl because he's not bringing Jair Alexander back. Listen, I wanted Ja back for $6 million. I think it would be a good decision. Now, he didn't go that route, but why would you go on the radio waves and this guy, Brian Gutekunst, who could potentially lose his job in a year or two with Ed Policy taking over now, right? Why would what you're saying is he doesn't care about his job. He doesn't want to win. He's just going to do things the way he wants to do. Now, if you say you disagree with how he thinks he can get there, that's a totally different ball game, right? But anyway, I didn't expect to talk about it. I actually told the guys, hey, if you're on the show or not, let's don't mention the whole ESPN Milwaukee thing because people don't want to hear that stuff, right? We want to hear updates on the team, but here I am. I screwed this one up. But again, I just want to, the one that sent me over the edge was when the producer called Romeo Dobbs a coward. That's when I was like, okay, man, I can't. Like, you know darn well you wouldn't say it to Romeo Dobbs' face. A dude who grew up really, really rough in a rough part of California, and he's probably seen the worst of the worst, and he's got this opportunity where he's trying to make the best of it. And then you're sitting behind a microphone, out of shape, breathing heavy into the microphone because you probably couldn't walk a mile, much less run one, right? And you're going to say that Romeo Dobbs is a coward like that. that sent me over the edge. I'm like, my God. And then bending stats and trying to tweak things just right to make the pass rush sound worse than it is. And then when you present the facts, present the statistics, present how the defense took a huge step forward, and then you try to take that and it turns into, well, if you remove their best 3 or 4 games, they actually were bad. It's just get away from me, man. Again, why are we talking about it? You do know that your listeners are Packer fans, right? Who wants to listen to that? That'd be like, you love your family, right? We all love the Packers, right? We love our family. What did Vince Lombardi say? God, family, and the Green Bay Packers, right? We all love our family here. Some people are going, I don't know, man, I got a weird uncle. I don't love my family. But we love our family. That would literally be like, man, I want to walk down memory lane and remember, what it was like with my, how great my family is and our most fondest moments, right? Spending time together. And somebody comes in and goes, yeah, I'll put that together for you. Let me show you every bad situation that you experience with your family. How does that make sense? Why do they think Packer fans want to listen to that? And again, if it was 1 thing, 2 things, even 3 things, I was turning my head back then. When it got to the point where I listed off like 6 or 7 things that's happened recently, I'm like, y'all are like, it's obvious what you're trying to do here. And you got other hosts that they say it 3 times a day on their show. I'm not a Packer fan. I just cover the Packer. Okay, that's great. You don't have to keep saying that. Every time you say I'm not a Packer fan, it's like you're backhanding the Packer fans. Who are your audience? I just don't get it. So anyway, I'm always going to approach covering the Packers like I want to focus on the positive as much as possible because there's way more positive than negative. Now, listen, when something happens, you got what happened? Why did it happen? That's our motto, especially after in post-game shows and film breakdown. If the team loses, we're going to show you why they lost. And we're not going to harp on it and call for people's jobs and say that guy's a bum and a coward or whatever. It's just silly. But that's how we're always going to approach it, is to try to put a little bit positive spin on it, like because people don't want to be depressed. Like when I tune into sports talk, I try to do everything on the show how I want sports talk that I listen to be. And when I tune into the show, I don't pop the earbuds in on the ground at work and go, all right, let's get depressed and let's focus on every negative thing about this team. It just doesn't make sense.